Setsuna is now going up against the strongest shield and spear in the history of magic. They are the legendary duos that the teachers in the academy always yap about. Setsuna is utterly blown away, and he asks Tsukuyomi how she brought the legendary duo to help her. Tsukuyomi mentions that she already revived them at the southern mausoleum before coming to the cemetery to carry out her grand plan. Tsukuyomi makes fun of Setsuna, saying she gathered all of the warriors because of him. Tsukuyomi then creates an undead throne for herself to see how Setsuna wants to break through her defenses. The undead swordsman swings its blade at Setsuna, but he manages to dodge it. Setsuna doesn't hold back before going after the shield bearer. He almost gets it by the head, but the shield appears right on time to save it. Setsuna is frustrated about how tough the shield is and by how fast the shield emerges. He figures out that breaking through straight ahead is going to be a big problem since the two warriors compensate for each other's weaknesses. Setsuna is thinking of what to do when the undead swordsman leaps into the air to try and finish Setsuna off. Setsuna leaps backward, dodging the attack. But just then, he notices something strange about the two, and this is the fact that they have stopped moving. It turns out that the two are actually resisting Tsukuyomi's control, which is why they stopped moving. Tsukuyomi is impressed by this, and she says she expects nothing less from the so-called legendary hero. However, she considers herself too powerful for the dead to resist. She amplifies her magic again, messing with the duo's consciousness to get them to fight on her behalf. Apparently, there is a story that the two stood on a bridge for 3 days, fighting off monsters while protecting people. Setsuna is pissed that Tsukuyomi is messing with the two heroes who fought their hearts out to help people. Tsukuyomi notices that Setsuna is pissed off already, but she is not concerned because she believes that Setsuna is just going to end up just like them after she is done with him. Since they are currently fighting in his hometown, Tsukuyomi teases Setsuna, telling him that he will be the one to destroy his people in town once she has him under her control. Tsukuyomi laughs like a creep, saying she is already imagining Setsuna shedding tears of blood. Back at the house, Roberta is still pissed about the fact that Setsuna rejected her relative. Suddenly, it dawns on her that something is wrong because there is no way Setsuna will decide to take on a security task when he has just returned to the town. It finally becomes clear to her that something is up because Setsuna has been patrolling the cemetery ever since he arrived in the town. Roberta runs into Setsuna's room to search it and she finds the tiny blue orb lying on the ground. She investigates the nature of the orb, and it suddenly fuses with her hand, ultimately masking the glow of the crest. Roberta finally figures out that Setsuna must have hidden the crest on his left hand, using the magic item. Roberta then turns to Layla, telling her that she needs to find Setsuna, restrain him, and talk to him. Layla wants to follow her, but she refuses, telling her that it might be dangerous. Layla returns to Setsuna's room, and she notices the water presence coming from his closet. Elsewhere, Setsuna is battling it out with the undead, and he knows that with the numbers around him, he won't be able to reach Tsukuyomi. Setsuna decides to use one of his hidden tricks, the Domain of Tranquility. The moment he activates the magic, he starts walking among the undead, without any of them being able to sense him. Apparently, the undead don't have eyes, and they only detect the presence of the living via other methods. This said method is mana perception, and since Setsuna can completely suppress his mana with the help of his magic control, he is completely invincible to the undead. Tsukuyomi panics, screaming at the undead to attack Setsuna before he gets to her. Once he cuts down on the distance between him and Tsukuyomi, Setsuna unleashes his mana and takes down a bunch of undead. He plans to continue this process until she reaches Tsukuyomi. Even Tsukuyomi is blown away, as she never believed that someone was capable of using the trick Setsuna is using right in front of her. It turns out that Setsuna developed the secret technique before his regression. During the joint training, he was scared to use it, but now that he is the only one fighting, he has no issues using it. To defeat the underworld armies, several mages carried out lots of experiments, and this technique is what came of the experiments. Setsuna finally reaches the legendary duo, but he notices that each of them is strong enough to rival the Hydra. Setsuna then asks Blazer how long he is going to last against the legendary if he unleashes his full power, coupled with the spirit magic. Blazer is excited to tell Setsuna that he will be able to last 3 times longer than before. However, the 3 times he is talking about are just 3 minutes. Nonetheless, Setsuna is prepared to take out the legendary duo in under 3 minutes. Meanwhile, Roberta has reached the graveyard and she is surprised to see the undead everywhere. She also sees Tsukuyomi in the distance, leaving her utterly confused. She knows that Setsuna is an ancient magic wielder, but what stands before her is worse. Just then, the 2 cemetery guards come running over, and when Roberta asks them what happened, they reveal that they have no idea. But it is certain that they were saved by Setsuna. The guards urge Roberta to run away when she has the chance to. Roberta is shocked to hear that Setsuna is fighting the undead alone, while he allows the guards to escape. She wonders if Setsuna is really trying to do the right thing. Since she was younger, Roberta had learned that ancient magic is a forbidden power, which is far beyond human comprehension. It was always hammered into her head that she needed to protect humans from those who use ancient magic. After remembering her teachings, Roberta comes to the conclusion that Setsuna is still dangerous because he carries a power that has the potential to destroy everything around him. She also remembers Layla, and her urge to protect Layla pushes her to want to terminate Setsuna more. Momentarily, Setsuna makes it to Tsukuyomi's last line of defense. He knows that they are going to be tougher, but he is pretty sure that the Domain of Tranquility will still work on them. In addition to this, he combines a double fake, which ultimately creates a clone using mana. Using this terrifying skill, he cuts through the undead, almost reaching Tsukuyomi. However, she is saved again thanks to the legendary duo. Setsuna is surprised to see that the duo is able to sense the fluctuation in his mana when he was about to attack, which is why they were able to save Tsukuyomi. Before Setsuna knows it, Tsukuyomi's defenses have regrouped again, making life more difficult for him. Setsuna concludes that the only way out for him is to force his way through with spirit magic. Setsuna loses concentration, and just as he is about to lose his head, he is dragged away by a plant, hung around him like a hand. Setsuna is shocked, and he is more shocked when he realizes that he just got saved by Roberta. Setsuna ultimately thanks Roberta, but she lets him know that she is not off the hook just yet. Roberta knows that Layla will be left heartbroken if Setsuna dies, while facing off against the undead, which is why she has to protect him. Setsuna is glad that he got saved by the lady, but this just makes things difficult for him because he obviously cannot use spirit magic in front of her. In addition to this, using Mana Guard is pretty useless against the legendary duos. Setsuna easily figures out that he is in a bind, leaving him to wonder what he must do to break through. Tsukuyomi, on the other hand, is surprised Roberta showed herself, and she teases her, asking if she is aiming to die. Roberta returns the gesture, saying she couldn't stay hidden because Tsukuyomi's stench was too big to ignore. Setsuna resumes his charge toward the undead, and Roberta provides backup from behind. She uses her magic to bind the undead swordsman to give Setsuna the chance to reach him, but the swordsman easily breaks the binds. This is when it dawns on Roberta that Tsukuyomi is quite strong, and Setsuna is taking her on by himself. Setsuna is also worried that things are not progressing well, and Blazer urges him to use his power because he is edging to burn everything to ashes. Setsuna is reluctant to do this because Roberta is watching him like a hawk. Setsuna wants to look for another way, but just then Layla arrives on the scene. She attacks Tsukuyomi from behind, but the undead shield covers her, leaving her unharmed. Layla immediately runs over to join Setsuna and Roberta. Setsuna asks Layla why she is there too, and she reveals that she heard the water spirit's voice telling her that Setsuna is in danger. Setsuna is shocked when he hears this, and he figures out that his suspicion about Layla having an affinity for water spirits might be right. In order not to conclude, he assumes that something might also be wrong with the water spirit. Just then, Setsuna hears the water spirit saying she would be disappointed if Setsuna died because she is still waiting for him to impress her. Since Layla is already on the scene, Setsuna is forced to ask her if she can help them in the tight situation they have found themselves in. Layla agrees, and together, they dash toward the undead monsters. Setsuna is impressed that Layla is showing no sign of fear whatsoever. Staying at the rear, Roberta also provides support, but the undead swordsman easily cuts down her vines. Tired of watching them struggle with each other, Tsukuyomi increases the power of the legendary duo so that they can quickly finish off the annoying trio. Tsukuyomi's plan works, and the legendary duo gets even stronger. Layla jumps backward to avoid them, but the distance isn't much, and she soon finds a sword reaching directly for her neck. She easily figures out that she can't dodge the attack, and she assumes that she is done for, but just then, Roberta jumps in to take the hit. Roberta gets hit right in the chest, knocking her to the ground, leaving Layla to scream out her name. She rushes over to check on her, and Tsukuyomi makes fun of them for being just weak-hearted. Tsukuyomi then tells Layla that she's going to turn her and Roberta into undead monsters to attack Setsuna. While Layla is busy attending to Roberta, she is attacked by the undead swordsman. Just as they are about to be struck down, Setsuna comes in, blazing hot, to save the girls. Just the trail of fire from him running leaves the undead burn to a crisp. This is when Roberta finally confirms that Setsuna is a wielder of ancient magic. Blazer is excited to unleash his wrath on the enemy, and he asks Setsuna how he plans to deal with the legendary duo. Setsuna then tells Blazer that he has nothing to worry about because he has found the duo's flaw. Setsuna immediately charges toward the two, throwing punches at them, while also dodging their attacks. Tsukuyomi finally witnesses what spirit magic is, and she realizes why Jagan had no chance against it. However, she is confident that she has everything sorted out, because the undead don't get tired. She smiles with the realization that Setsuna is just going to run out of mana before he can reach her. Blazer is pissed at this, and he tells Setsuna to pierce through the shield, stopping them. But Setsuna disagrees because he knows that too much firepower will take a toll on their mana. Setsuna assures Blazer that there is another way that he can deal with the two. Setsuna remembers Lionel telling him a story about the legendary duo. Setsuna notices that the two have been fighting him since the battle started, but they have not really shown the coordination needed to be called heroes. With this in mind, Setsuna takes on the two pretty easily. He jumps in between them, forcing the swordsman to try and strike him, but Setsuna bends down to dodge. The strike from the sword ends up hitting the shield, ultimately making a dent in it. Setsuna's genius move shocks the girls, but Setsuna is not done yet as he whips out his fiery blade. He lands a single hit on the shield, ultimately shattering it. With no shield to protect the undead warrior, Setsuna easily splits it into two. Pissed about Setsuna killing his counterpart, the swordsman charges toward him. It turns into a sword battle between the two, and Setsuna doesn't hold back while engaging the swordsman. Setsuna easily maneuvers around the undead warrior before finally getting a chance to strike it down. With his fiery blade, he cuts the undead in half. Setsuna then tells the swordsman how sorry he is that he didn't get to save him. Tsukuyomi is pissed that the so-called heroes lost a 2-versus-1 battle. Setsuna tells her to keep her mouth shut because her knights are gone. Tsukuyomi is not worried because Setsuna only has 30 seconds left to use his powerful skill. Tsukuyomi unleashes more undead, hoping that she gets to waste Setsuna's time. Just then, the legendary swordsman takes Setsuna's side and he launches a devastating attack that cuts through the undead horde. Tsukuyomi is shocked to see that the undead swordsman could still move. Setsuna smiles, thanking the undead swordsman for lending him his strength. Setsuna then tells Tsukuyomi that she is about to pay for underestimating the heroes. Setsuna reaches Tsukuyomi so fast that she cannot react. He swings his sword at her and she tries to resist, but the fiery sword ends up cutting through her body. Setsuna burns her body to the ground right around the time that he reaches his limit. Blazer commends his strength and that of the heroes. Setsuna agrees, saying it is easy to resurrect the dead, but controlling it is the problem. Setsuna then turns to check on Roberta, who is slowly losing her life. She asks Setsuna if the power he just used is ancient magic, and since he can't deny it anymore, he says yes. Layla quickly joins the conversation, telling Roberta that Setsuna is not a bad person. Roberta assures Layla that she knows this because Setsuna only used the magic to save her and Layla. Roberta is confused about what to do because Setsuna will definitely be executed if she hands him over to the church. Suddenly, Setsuna and the girls find themselves bound by what is supposed to be Roberta's magic. This shocks Setsuna, and to their surprise, Tsukuyomi is still alive. She reveals the big surprise that it is not only the dead that she can control. Tsukuyomi emerges from a scary cocoon, and this time, she looks absolutely terrifying. Fear grips Setsuna when he realizes that Tsukuyomi was hiding her true strength all along. To make things worse, she has Setsuna right under her thumb, totally restricted, as she plans to cut his head off. Setsuna tries breaking free, but he can't because the vines are interrupting with his mana blade. At the last minute, Layla breaks free from her binds and charges toward Tsukuyomi to protect Setsuna. Realizing the danger, Setsuna screams at Layla to stop. Instead of backing off in the face of fear, Layla continues toward Tsukuyomi because she is willing to do anything as long as it helps Setsuna. However, before she even gets the chance to do anything, Tsukuyomi impales her with her giant claws. Tsukuyomi then throws Layla away after she makes sure that there is a big hole in her chest. Setsuna is shocked and doesn't want to believe what he just saw, as the memories of the good times he shared with Layla flash through his head. Setsuna loses himself to Blazer's power, immediately unleashing a massive firepower that burns through the vines holding him down. Blazer screams at Setsuna, telling him not to use his powers because his body won't be able to hold it. Setsuna doesn't mind if he dies, since Tsukuyomi is still standing in front of him. He rushes toward the monster, ready to take her down, but Tsukuyomi makes fun of him, since she knows that he is clearly burning through his life force to continue the fight. Tsukuyomi then leaps backward with no attempt to fight Setsuna head-on. She releases web fluid from her mouth, restraining Setsuna, but he easily breaks through the restraints. However, this doesn't help much because Tsukuyomi easily lifts herself in the air to shoot more webs at Setsuna. To make it worse, her webs have spikes in them, making the battle tough for Setsuna. Just when Setsuna is about to finish him off, he is saved by the least expected person, Layla. Her presence shocks everyone, especially Tsukuyomi, who knows that what she did to Layla should have finished her off. Setsuna turns to Layla, asking her if she is unharmed, and she says yes. Layla reveals that when the attack hit her, her body turned into water, ultimately saving her life. Basically, she was saved by the water spirit because she was wearing the pendant around her neck. Just then, Layla finds herself in the spirit world, where she meets the water spirit, Waternia. Waternia tells Layla that she is going to grant her strength, but everything still sounds strange to Layla. Layla then asks Waternia why she would lend her strength, since she hasn't even done anything. Waternia then corrects her, telling her that she actually did by showing her an emotion that she never knew, which is true love. Layla is confused by this, and Waternia explains that she has always wanted to lend her power to those who inspire her. Waternia has seen a lot of good things, but she never felt moved. However, she witnessed a man who used spirit magic for a woman, even though he might be executed for it, and a woman who risked her life to save the said man. Waternia calls this true love, and mentions that it is worthy of surpassing her trial. Waternia mentions that the spirit world is actually lonely, which is why she is drawn to the beauty of mortal life. She knows that the act of sacrificing oneself for another can only be done by humans. With this, she considers human love truly wonderful. Because she surpassed her trial, Waternia lets her know that she is the most worthy to wield her power. Waternia then suggests that they return to the real world so that they can rescue her lover. Layla is about to play a fool again by saying Setsuna is not her lover, but she ignores it and suggests that they return to the real world. Upon returning to the real world, Setsuna asks Waternia if she finally felt the emotion she was looking for, and says yes. She mentions that the emotion she was searching for is love, and it is currently in Layla's heart. Setsuna and Layla are both struck by the sudden revelation, but Waternia suggests that they focus their attention on the matters at hand. Just then, Waternia's mana starts to creep into every part of Layla's body, leaving Roberta utterly disappointed when she realizes what is happening. Once Layla is up and running, she tells Setsuna to rest while she handles Tsukuyomi. Setsuna is pleased that Layla is a natural when it comes to spirits, and he decides to trust her to handle the situation. Waternia then tells Layla to use the magic that she has learned, and all she will do is lend her her power while also guiding her. Just then, Layla whips out her mana blade thanks to the fact that she has been training just like Setsuna did. Instead of a regular sword, she makes a whip. After they are done deliberating and making weapons, Layla finally goes after Tsukuyomi. Layla swings her whip at Tsukuyomi in a very irregular way, making it very hard for her to catch the trajectory. Tsukuyomi fails to block the attack, and she gets hit instead. In addition to this, the whip is faster than the sound it produces. Setsuna wonders if Layla is enhancing the flexibility of the water's flow speed. Layla doesn't give the monster any chance as she continues throwing her whip at her. Tsukuyomi wants to run backwards, but Layla catches her, assuring her that she has nowhere to go. Tsukuyomi then does something crazy by shedding her skin to escape the whip's grasp. Tsukuyomi then runs around the battlefield while boasting about her beauty. Surprisingly, she reaches Setsuna's back before he can react. Tsukuyomi raises her hand, ready to eliminate him. Setsuna is able to dodge the first strike, but Layla blocks her second strike with her whip. However, just like before, Tsukuyomi sheds her skin again, making everything very difficult. Layla figures out that she has to do something about the molting if she is going to defeat Tsukuyomi. Setsuna then runs over to Layla, telling her that Tsukuyomi might not be able to escape if her entire body is wrapped in the whip. Waternia figures out that she will have to extend the whip to an incredible length, but unlike Blazer, who burns and turns into fire, the creation of water is quite inefficient. Waternia mentions that she is going to need a massive amount of water ready before she can do it. When Waternia mentioned this, Setsuna remembered Lionel telling her that Morgana used the lake's water to create massive water spheres. With this in mind, he comes up with a solid plan. He then tells his allies to prepare themselves to listen to what he is about to say, because with this, they are going to end the fight. Setsuna and Layla then stand back to back, emitting a crazy amount of aura from their body. Even Tsukuyomi gets shaken by the excessive aura coming from their body. However, she is confident that she can dodge the attack, since it is their final blow. In addition to dodging it, she can also molt, and she believes that as long as she protects her core, she will get to revive as many times as she wants. Confident about this, Tsukuyomi makes fun of them, telling them to give up because they are going to make for very good undead warriors. Just then, Layla uses the blue whip technique, but Tsukuyomi is not bothered since it has not been effective against her since she started using it. In return, she unleashes her spikes at Layla, but she easily dodges, and finally uses the extended version of the blue whip, ultimately wrapping around Tsukuyomi. This is when it dawns on Tsukuyomi that she can't escape the whip, since her entire body is wrapped in it. She is left with the question of where Layla got all the water she used in making the extended whip, since there are no lakes or ponds in the area. Waternia makes fun of her, saying there is actually water in the area. Tsukuyomi turns around to see Setsuna still unleashing heat from his body, and this is when she figures it out. Setsuna has been heating up the area to make the snow melt, and this is where they got the water from. Tsukuyomi is ultimately blown away that Setsuna could think that far ahead, even at the very last moment. Realizing that she can't move, and Setsuna is running toward her with serious killing intentions, she suggests that they make a deal. She tells Setsuna that she can make him eternal by turning him into an undead. She increases the deal, saying she can even make Setsuna an apostle. Setsuna has no interest in whatever she is saying, and just as he gets close enough, Setsuna activates the flame magic, surrounding his body with burning hot flames. His punch travels towards Tsukuyomi like a bullet, and Setsuna hits her as hard as he can, finally burning away her body and core. Layla heaves a sigh of relief when she realizes that they have won. However, she is exhausted from the excessive use of mana, and she loses balance. Before she can hit the ground, Setsuna runs toward her to grab her. Setsuna reveals how impressed he is that Layla is able to effectively wield spirit magic. Layla blushes, saying she probably got stronger, and while the two are busy blushing over each other, Waternia speaks from behind to talk about their impressive love life. Setsuna smiles, thanking Waternia and Layla that they were the ones who saved him. He thanks them for this, but just as he finishes saying it, he passes out in Layla's hands. Elsewhere, Satanakia is pissed that their colleague has been terminated, and he is even more pissed that it is Setsuna's doing. Puker laughs when he hears this, as he believes that he is a weakling to have fallen to Setsuna. Satanakia initially assumes that Tsukuyomi let her guard down, but he quickly trashes this idea, saying Tsukuyomi is extremely cautious, which means Setsuna beat through every backup plan that she installed. Satanakia then tells Puker to keep an eye on Setsuna's movements. He says Setsuna has been moving so funny that they can no longer ignore him. In addition, he fears that there is a traitor among them, and the biggest suspect is Leo. Puker is surprised to hear this, but Satanakia tells him to take care of Leo. Puker is excited to surveil Leo, and if he turns out to be a traitor, he is just going to end him. Soon afterward, Setsuna woke up in Roberta's care. She is kneeling over them, applying healing magic to their bodies. Setsuna is shocked, and he asks Roberta why she didn't restrain him. Setsuna believes that Roberta should be handing him over to the church. Roberta reveals that she still has her doubts, which is why she is not making a move yet. Roberta then subtly asks Setsuna who he is. Before Setsuna can speak, Layla also wakes up. Layla is surprised that Roberta is making use of herself as a knee pillow for them. Setsuna then tells them to come with him once they are done with recovery. Momentarily, Setsuna leads them to a hillside where they can see the town from above. They are enjoying the view when Setsuna suddenly drops the bombshell, saying he came from the future, where things were already destroyed. Layla and Roberta hear this and believe that he is saying trash, but he lets them know that he is not just spewing rubbish. He assures them that the castle that they are looking at in front of them will burn down in 6 years. The town is going to get crushed by giants in 8 years, while the academy will fall to monsters in just 5 years. Roberta still believes that Setsuna is joking, but he assures the lady that he is definitely not joking. Setsuna then narrates everything, including why he chose close combat magic. After hearing everything, Roberta concludes that his story is hard to believe, but the fact that he knew the monster was going to target the graveyard and he is incredibly strong for his age makes everything come together. Layla immediately tells Setsuna that she believes him, because from the moment they met, things got bad. But he never gave up. Layla finally figures out that he was carrying the weight of what he already knows, which is why he refused to give up no matter what. Setsuna is blown away by how much Layla cares about him, and Waternia creeps in as usual, talking about their undying love for each other. Roberta then tells Setsuna that the church might never believe his story, since they don't share the idea of time traveling. However, Setsuna lets her know that he is leaving the decision of the crest to her. Setsuna then warns her to be careful of the saint, who holds the highest authority in the church. Setsuna reveals that the saint joined the evil side in his past life. Roberta argues this, saying the high saint is a clear devout follower of the divine being and would never support evil. Setsuna then tells Roberta that the high saint recently got an aide named Gustav, and it is this person who will change her. Roberta is shocked to hear this since she knows who Gustav is, but she has not spoken to him directly. Just then, a large bird appears on the scene, and judging from the belt around the bird, it is evident that it is from the Mage battalion. Setsuna immediately puts up his guard, but when the bird descends, the soldiers on it are shocked not to see any sign of the undead, since this is why they came. They step off the bird, looking all cool, but when they realize that there is no enemy in the surroundings, the leader of the unit demands to know who fought the battle, since he heard that there was a swarm of undead in the area. Setsuna is reluctant to speak up, but Roberta quickly raises her badge and also reveals that she was the one who took care of the undead. Roberta tells the soldier that the situation is not as bad as they make it out to be. The leader of the unit commends Robert for her good work when he realizes that she is from the church, Roberta has decided to keep everything to herself until she returns to the church to confirm all. The unit leader also recognizes Setsuna as the student who is supposed to come for training with the Magus Battalion. Setsuna confirms this, and the dude finally introduces himself as Sid, the commander of the Magus Battalion. Sid tells Setsuna that he is free to resume after the new year because the battalion loves having strong people in their midst. One of the mages disagrees with his boss, saying Setsuna is just a kid hiding behind a woman, and there is no way he is strong. Setsuna hears the dude's voice and immediately recognizes him as one of his comrades on the battlefield. He was his total opposite in combat power, and his name is Zappa. Zappa notices that Setsuna is smiling, and he immediately becomes hostile, assuming that he is making fun of him. The tense situation becomes scary when an undead suddenly appears behind the girls. Zappa takes out his anger on the undead and sends them flying with powerful firepower. Even Blazer is amazed by Zappa's ability. Setsuna is not surprised because he knows what Zappa is capable of. In his past life, he was the best in magic control, but when it came to raw magic power, Zappa was the undisputed champion. Layla then walks over to ask Setsuna if he knows Zappa, and he says yes. Setsuna assures Layla that he is a good guy and they become friends in the future. Zappa boasts about his power, telling Setsuna that his power as a close combat mage is lacking, and he urges him to stay behind him during training. Setsuna grins, telling Zappa that he is a lot stronger when he is the one leading the team. This gets on Zappa's nerves, as he tells Setsuna not to get ahead of himself. Sid steps in, telling Zappa to calm his nerves, and he assures Setsuna that he is going to assign him a different squad if Zappa proves to be difficult. Setsuna smiles, telling the boss that there is no need for him to do such because he wants to be in the same squad as Zappa. Zappa is dumbstruck when he hears this coming from Setsuna. Zappa grabs Setsuna, asking him if he is trying to pick a fight with him so he can die. He suggests that he remain in school, where he can continue studying. Sid grabs Zappa's hand off Setsuna, telling him to prove his strength in training instead of running his mouth. Zappa is dissatisfied, and he angrily walks away. Layla is worried about Setsuna because he would have to train with Zappa, who appears to be a very tough dude, but Setsuna doesn't care, since all he wants is Zappa's strength. Since it is already dawn, Setsuna suggests that they head back to the orphanage. Upon returning to the orphanage, Roberta doesn't waste time before returning to the church, leaving the two back at the village. Not long after this, Layla also leaves the village, and Setsuna is left to help the villagers out. A few days later, Setsuna also says goodbye to the orphanage, and he returns to the academy to continue his studies. When Setsuna and Layla return to the academy, they tell Carol and Drago about their experience, leaving the two utterly shocked. Drago, on the other hand, tells Setsuna that he was able to learn a new skill during the break, which he will show off during training. Apparently the training lasts 3 weeks, and Layla is planning to also use it to the best. She wants to improve her bond with Waternia to properly train spirit magic. Carol is jealous of Layla because she had a really good break. Layla tries to reduce the importance of this, but Carol assures her that she doesn't need to downplay her break. While the girls are having fun, Setsuna is thinking of how he is going to stop the incident that is bound to happen during training. However, he needs Zappa's cooperation if he wants to be successful. Later on, Setsuna visits a store to get what he needs for the training. He is leaving the building when he is suddenly attacked from behind. Surprisingly, Setsuna easily dodges the attack, which actually came from Akhtar. Setsuna is ultimately disappointed, forcing him to ask Akhtar why he is acting all stupid. Enraged, Akhtar reveals that he is after Setsuna because he wants revenge, as he had the chance to have everything he wanted if not for Setsuna. Initially, Akhtar was a trash background character, but after his aptitude for long-range magic was discovered, he started getting better treatment from people. Because he enjoyed the treatment, he started working really hard to maintain his status. However, Setsuna came to ruin everything for him. Akhtar doesn't hold back from shooting a powerful wind blast at Setsuna, but all Setsuna does is cut down the attack with his bare hands. Akhtar is left stunned when he sees Setsuna block his attack with little to no effort. Setsuna grins at Akhtar while telling him the technique and how to manage it. Akhtar is pissed as he calls Setsuna a useless close combat mage. Akhtar refuses to back down, and he attacks Setsuna again, hoping to injure him so he will replace him in the training camp. He is desperate to win everyone's attention, including Carol's. Setsuna is confused when Akhtar mentions Carol, and Akhtar reveals that she is the perfect girl because she has the looks. And she is also a top student. Akhtar wants Carol to be by his side, and after he says this, Setsuna gets really mad. Akhtar attacks Setsuna again, but he blocks it, calling Akhtar a scum because he is not even checking on Carol, whom he claims he likes. In addition, he lets him know that working hard to become great is the only way to impress people. Meanwhile, Cyrus is hiding behind a tree, hearing everything that they are talking about. Cyrus is not happy with Akhtar's progress because it has dwindled since he lost the tournament. On the other hand, Setsuna has been developing himself non-stop. Cyrus knows that Setsuna might have become the greatest mage of all time if he had chosen long-range magic. As the fight continues, Cyrus notices a student running toward them. Akhtar tries everything he can, but can't land a single hit on Setsuna. Akhtar is frustrated, since he is supposed to be the strongest long-range mage. Setsuna moves around zigzag until he gets close to Akhtar. Akhtar senses the punch coming straight at him, leaving him to wonder if he is about to die. Setsuna holds back a little before finally punching him in the head and knocking him to the ground. Setsuna then reveals his intentions to expose Akhtar to the authorities so he can be duly punished. Setsuna lets him know that he even faces a risk of being expelled from the mage's world. Just then, the unknown students come rushing over to protect Akhtar. Setsuna is shocked when he realizes who the person is, and it is none other than Carol, leaving Setsuna to ask her why she is protecting Akhtar. Setsuna asks Carol if she knows the horrible things Akhtar has done, and she says yes, but she has a reason for doing what she is doing. Apparently, Akhtar was a totally different person when they were in the first year of school. Carol explains that Akhtar was just a commoner like her, but he was always getting bad treatment from the other students. However, he remained kind, and would even share his healing potions with others, even when he himself needed them. Setsuna is shocked to hear that Actor was a totally different person from what he knew. Carol then mentions that Actor totally lost himself because of the overwhelming power that he obtained the moment he joined the long-range magic department. Nonetheless, Carol still believes in Actor even if people say she is being delusional. Carol wants them to give Actor a chance to correct all the evil things that he has done. Just then, Actor gets on his feet, and he tells Carol to stop talking. With his disfigured face, he mentions his plan to submit his withdrawal form the next day. Actor bows to Setsuna, saying he is not expecting forgiveness, and he is also free to report him to the authorities if he wants. Actor then finally summons the courage to tell Carol what he has always wanted to tell her, and this is the fact that he likes her. Carol thanks him for the compliment because it makes her feel like Actor's old self is back. However, she confesses that she has someone she likes, and Actor takes it like a big boy, saying he has no more regrets. Actor then tells Setsuna to give his all during the Mage's training because it was always his dream. Setsuna smiles, assuring Actor that he is going to carry his hopes with him. In the end, everything gets resolved peacefully, and Cyrus walks away with a smile. The following day at the Mage's Core Western Branch, Zappa and his colleague Valerie prepare themselves to receive new trainees. Zappa and Valerie join their boss on the assembly ground, where the trainees are all waiting. Sid stands before the new members to address them, and he informs them that they are going to be serving as real mages for 3 weeks. He lets them know that he is expecting great things from them because they are not there to have fun. Apparently, Drago, Setsuna, and Mifune are the 3 who came from their academy, Elmridge. The other academy students waste no time discriminating against Setsuna and Drago since they are both from the close combat magic department. Although some believe that Drago will have some uses since he is big, they totally write Setsuna off. Rumors are also flying around that he was saved by Roberta in Eldinia. Most of the students are already rejecting Setsuna as their teammates before they even get the chance to work with him. When it is time for the team assignments, the commander tells them that they are all going to state the unit that they would like to join. Zappa is thinking of adding Mifune to his Sid unit when Setsuna suddenly raises his voice to say he would like to join the Sid unit. Zappa is pissed already when he hears this, but at the same time he doesn't think he is going to get picked, because it all depends on the tests that are going to be conducted. The commander then calls them together, telling them that the battalion is based on merit and the assignments will be based on their abilities. To know their worth, the commander tells them that they are going to take turns attacking the golem, and its damage intake will be measured and projected as their score. The commander calls on a trainee who hits the golem with fire magic, ultimately earning him a whopping 382 points. One after the other, the trainees step up to attack the golem and know their score. One even fails the test, ultimately earning a big 0 points. When it is Mifune's turn to display his skill, he calmly unleashes his formation magic, impressing those who are watching. When his points came out, he got close to 600 points, which is a big deal. When it is Drago's turn, he excitedly steps up to take on the golem, and the other students are already expecting him to fail against the golem. However, they are all left stunned when Drago beat the golem up so badly that he obtained close to 800 points. The other trainees are left in awe as they never expected a close combat mage to be that powerful. Some then assume that his big size is his strength. After Drago is done wreaking havoc on the golem, Setsuna is called forward. To make things harder for Setsuna, Zappa suggests that they put Setsuna up against a demon-type golem. Valerie tries to point out the dangers of doing this, but Zappa doesn't mind, since he is aiming to break Setsuna's ego. Valerie sympathizes with Setsuna's condition because the demon type is known to be very difficult to deal with, thanks to the ability to fly. Because he is a close combat mage, Valerie believes that he has no chance whatsoever. Setsuna steps forward, and when he realizes that he is going up against a demon-type golem, he grins without fear. On the other hand, the trainees believe that Setsuna is done for since experienced mages even have trouble dealing with a demon-type golem. They assume that he is going to give up, but unknown to them, he was once the strongest mage in the Magus battalion. They start making fun of him because they believe that he is going to have the lowest score among all the trainees. They know that once the demon type leaps into the air, it is all over. The commander orders that the battle begin, and Setsuna wastes no time, dashing at the golem before it even has the chance to do anything. He unleashes his mana swords and delivers precision cuts to the golem, ultimately destroying it in front of everyone. The golem shatters into dust, and the spectators are left picking their jaws from the floor. Even the system was not able to register a particular test point because Setsuna was too fast. Setsuna is initially worried that he might have overdone it until he realizes that the Magus battalion is all about eliminating threats as fast as possible. Valerie assumes that there was a malfunction with the system, which is why it was not able to read Setsuna's score, but Zappa clears the air, saying that Setsuna basically dealt so much damage that it broke the system. Zappa painfully admits that Setsuna's score is over 1,000. Some of the trainees refuse to believe what they just witnessed, and they start talking about how the golem is defective. The trainees urge Setsuna to be ready because the real thing will never be easy, the way he just handled it. The next day, Valerie and Zappa head to the commander's office, and he tells them about how everyone wants to get their hands on Setsuna. In addition to those who performed well, is Han, from the Issei Magic Academy, who casually scored over 700 points. Since Zappa and Setsuna have beef with each other, the commander puts Valerie in charge of Setsuna. Valerie excitedly takes the job, assuring the commander that he is going to do his best to train Setsuna and Han. Momentarily, Valerie gets the two under his wing, and he tells them to follow him so he can give them a tour of the facility. Basically, the Magus battalion gathers elite mages from across the continent, and in addition to this, they receive loads of government support with advanced technological equipment. Valerie explains that each unit is made up of 5 members, and as trainees, they are going to be joining up as the 6th and 7th members of the SID unit. In addition to this, they are going to be participating in regular combat missions, which is basically a warm-up for special operations. As they walk around the facility, Setsuna can see loads of familiar faces that he knows from his past life. Valerie mentions that those who perform exceptionally well are going to receive an officer's recommendation from him, since he is the unit captain. He lets them know that his recommendation is well sought after since it attracts attention from guilds and other institutions. He lets them know that the first task is to memorize everything about the unit by the end of the day. When Setsuna hears this, he doesn't seem to be moved since he knew how much he suffered to get the recommendation back in his past life. Moments later, they run into an instructor, who makes fun of Valerie for being slow and also having a close combat mage in his unit. They even tease him by throwing stones at him, causing him to fall backward toward his students. Setsuna is pissed to witness this, and he ultimately scolds the delinquents for their shameless acts. The dude is trying to get more on Setsuna's nerves when Setsuna kicks the stone he dropped at him. He kicks it with so much force that it tears away at the dude's cape like a bullet. The dude wants to pick a fight with Setsuna, but just a stare from Setsuna and the cold aura emanating from his body quickly tells him that he is going to get beaten up. He immediately retreats, leaving Valerie shocked since he had just been protected by Setsuna. Han then turns to Valerie asking him how he feels after being protected by a trainer. Valerie is stunned by the question, but he decides to ignore it and just end the lecture for the day. Setsuna watches as Valerie walks away with his head tucked in his cape. Later that day, Setsuna catches Valerie as he is practicing his magic power, which happens to be some really high-powered magic. Setsuna commends his firepower, but Valerie is not impressed with himself because his casting time is too long. Valerie says he can't seem to be able to fire fast enough no matter how much practice he undergoes. Apparently he picked the magic path because of the power, but Valerie now believes that he made the wrong move. When Setsuna hears this, he realizes that Valerie is not crazy for what he is saying, because it took time for mages to figure out the magic path in his past life. Valerie then mentions that his family has served as commanders in the Mage battalion for generations, but he, as the firstborn, ended up with no talent. In fact, most people believe that his sister is a better mage than he is. Even with all of these, Valerie decided to join the Mage battalion and put in his best. However, Valerie doesn't think he is still up to the standard of a regular mage. After hearing his story, Setsuna is left completely impressed. He realizes that even after everything that he has gone through, he refuses to give up. Setsuna tells him that he looks way more admirable than the delinquents, who were making fun of him. Valerie is shocked to hear this, and he decides to resume his training, thanking Setsuna for protecting him earlier in the day. Valerie then opens a magic circle that ultimately creates a flower field illusion, which he claims helps to calm his heart. Valerie smiles, saying this might be the reason why he is referred to as a legacy brat. Setsuna disagrees, telling Valerie that his spell is absolutely beautiful. Just then, Setsuna asks Valerie if he will be willing to use his magic during the combat mission so that he can finally prove everyone wrong. Valerie is skeptical about his skills since he has less than 24 hours, but Setsuna suggests that they give it a try by engaging in a secret training session. The following day, Setsuna and Han join Valerie, who tells them that they are going to join the unit on actual missions. Basically, the danger level of monsters is ranked with a star-based system. Setsuna is not surprised by this since it is something he learned in school. Apparently, goblins and undead are 1-star threats, while the Death Lord that they encountered in the dungeon was a 4-star. Valerie reveals that the Magus battalion handles 3-star threats and above. Valerie mentions that they are stepping out to check out the monster sighting happening in the wetlands. Valerie lets them know that there is a special operation at the end of the training, and he urges them to get used to real combat. Momentarily, they find themselves in the combat zone. Sid tells the mages that he and Zappa are going to take the lead, while the rest support from behind. Setsuna whispers to Valerie, telling him that they need to step forward when they get the chance, so as to show everyone the results of last night's training. Valerie agrees with Setsuna, saying he needs to prove himself as the heir of the Light family. Apparently, Setsuna noticed something after his training with Valerie. He realizes that his mana reserves are among the top people in the Magus battalion. Setsuna knows things are going to be totally different if Valerie can actually put away his fear during the training. Suddenly they are attacked by a 3-star monster spider from behind. Valerie is grabbed by the monster, leaving him to scream out in fear. Setsuna rushes toward the monster, cutting off its tentacles to free Valerie. Once they are in the clear, Zappa unleashes a powerful flame magic to send the monster flying. However, the monster doesn't die from the powerful attack that Zappa even used on it. Sid is about to take care of the situation when Valerie stops him, suggesting that he handle the problem instead. Zappa worries about Valerie's safety, and he tells him not to push himself because the monster is not one to be joked with. In addition, he doesn't think Valerie's magic is best suited for the monster. Zappa wants him and Sid to handle it, but Setsuna stops him, saying he and Valerie will handle it instead. Setsuna reminds Zappa that people tend to improve, and Valerie is not an exception. Zappa is pissed that Setsuna just joined them a few days ago, and he is already acting like he knows everything. Sid, on the other hand, asks Valerie if he is confident in his victory. Valerie smiles, saying yes, leaving Zappa totally pissed. Valerie thanks Sid for the opportunity given to him, and he immediately activates his magic circle, which creates the illusion of flowers. Zappa is pissed when he sees this because he doesn't think there is any good thing flowers are going to do for them. Setsuna urges Zappa to chill because he is just about to witness the real thing. The night before, Setsuna had explained to Valerie that his skill, Phantom Garden, can actually be used in a more effective way. Setsuna told Valerie that it is the key to simultaneous casting. This is when it dawns on Valerie that Setsuna might be right, since the skill doesn't use too much mana. However, Valerie is curious about what they can use the magic for. Setsuna then mentions that even in illusion magic, the advantage of the magic lies in its wide area. Valerie is shocked that Setsuna is suggesting he hide another spell inside his already existing spell. Now that he is facing off against the tentacle monster, this is exactly what he plans to do. Valerie covers the entire circumference of the room with his illusion magic, and suddenly, the tentacle monster goes up in flames, shocking the spectators. Sid quickly figures out that Valerie hid the destructive magic inside the Phantom Garden skill. Sid considers Valerie's decision to get rid of a spell's weakness by merging another spell with a complete move of ingenuity. Setsuna remembers that the skill, Hecaton Bolt, only performed exceptionally well when used with other spells. Just then, more tentacle monsters appear from their hiding spots. Zappa then tells Valerie that he is clumsy as usual, but what he did has managed to split the monsters. All that is left for Zappa and the others is to go all out on the falling monsters. Zappa angrily launches a powerful flame attack at the monsters, while the others also join in to take down the annoying monsters. Sid watches the battle from where he is, and even though he is impressed by the performance of the other trainees, Setsuna's performance is what truly catches his eye. He knows close combat magic has its limitations, but with the way Setsuna is moving, it is as if he has broken through every known limitation. Sid is forced to admit that Setsuna's battle instincts stand out really well. He notices that Setsuna used an interesting combo, and he figures out that the technique is his invention. Sid is particularly proud that the students sent to him that year are all impressive. Momentarily, they wipe out most monsters in the area, declaring it a success. Sid then walks up to Valerie to commend his hard work, telling him that he should continue improving. Valerie is happy to hear this, but suddenly she holds her tummy in pain. Setsuna is able to grab him before he falls to the ground. Sid asks Valerie if he is injured while engaging the monsters, but he claims that he is fine. He tells them that he will just have to check it out himself. She runs off to check, while Zappa mentions that Valerie is always acting shy around them. Valerie makes it to a safe place to check her body, which is covered in scars and injuries, but something interesting lurks under the bandage wrapped around his chest. Just then, Han shows up on the scene, saying he already suspected it. Surprisingly, Valerie is a girl with scars all over her body. In a flashback scene, the real Valerie is seen grabbing his head in frustration, while talking about how his life as a mage is over. He refuses to leave his room, and when his little sister saw this, he decided to take matters into her own hands to make sure that the family's name is not ruined. She cut her hair so she could look like a guy, and then she joined the Magus battalion, hoping that her family would be recognized again if he picked up enough achievements. However, the most important thing that she needed to do was make sure that her identity remained a secret. Han finally understands why Valerie's sister is doing what she is doing. He knows that people will also be shocked, and she might be expelled too. She begs Han not to tell anyone about what he just found out, promising to do anything that he wants her to. Just then, Han grabs her by the cheek, telling her that he is there to earn the officer's recommendation so that he can quickly rise through the ranks. Since this is his mission, he wants the lady to give all the training achievements to him. She is frustrated but can't do anything about what she just heard, and when the two return to the rest of the group, Valerie looks totally down. Setsuna also notices that something is weird, forcing him to ask the two what they were doing. Han replies that they are up to nothing because he was only asking her about training and the like. By the 10th day of the training, Setsuna can see that they have gained a ton of experience, which includes logistics and combat too. However, with all the progress, he knows that something is definitely wrong with Valerie. He notices that she has been the one taking on all the menial jobs that Han is supposed to do. Setsuna remembers that during their last combat mission, she was totally off, causing Zappa to get mad at her, but Han steps in to say he saved her. Han even turned to Setsuna, telling him that he has been performing badly, which means he might be the one getting the recommendation in the end. Without a doubt, Setsuna can see that Valerie is going out of her way just to please Han, and he figures out that something must have happened between them. Setsuna is thinking about all of these when he runs into Valerie cleaning Han's shoes, while he sits down like a king, ordering his servant to do the hard work. Setsuna angrily demands to know what is happening. And Han claims that Valerie liked his potential, which is why she is being generous to him. Setsuna tells him to stop playing dumb because he is obviously playing dirty games. Han gets on his feet, saying Setsuna just made a false accusation against him. He decides that the next big thing he is going to do is attack Setsuna, since he never really liked him in the first place. Han unleashes his powerful wind magic to try to overpower Setsuna, but he easily overcomes the power, and he prepares to teach Han why he shouldn't mess with him. Han is surprised to see how Setsuna easily tanked the attack, leaving him to wonder if Setsuna is really a close combat mage. Not ready to back down, Han prepares another magic attack in preparation for whatever it is that Setsuna is cooking up for him. Before they get the chance to attack themselves and destroy everything in their paths, Zappa shows up screaming at them to stop whatever it is that they are doing. Zappa turns to Valerie, calling her a fool for not being able to prevent the two from fighting each other. Valerie just bows her head in fear, begging for forgiveness. Zappa then tells Han that he can't get away with what he is doing forever. Just then, the PA system rings with an announcement that there will be a 10-minute briefing on next week's special operation. All the units and trainees are ordered to assemble at the plaza. Momentarily, the required group arrives at the plaza to receive the briefing. The trainees are told that from the following week, they are going to be accompanying the main team on high-priority missions because they want to see what they are made of. They are told that the missions will be difficult, which is why they are advised to choose the mission based on their strength. Part of the missions are escorting the royal members, surveying unexplored dungeons, clearing out an orc lord's nest, and investigating Rhodes Island. The moment they mention Rhodes Island, Setsuna remembers that the incident happened on the island. Sid then asks about the Rhodes Island mission, and the commander mentions that it is a mission that came to them just recently. Apparently, Rhodes Island sent out a distress signal, and after this, they have not been able to reach anyone on the island. In addition to this, the guards that have been sent over to the island have also gone missing. Setsuna remembers that in his past life, he chose the Royal Escort mission, and the Sid unit was sent to Rhodes Island. Unfortunately, everyone on the team was slaughtered by unknown monsters, and the one mage who barely made it back was Zappa. In his past life, Sid's unit headed for a scouting mission on Rhodes Island, but Zappa, being the only one who made it back, revealed that everyone was annihilated by unknown monsters that were roaming the island. The Magus battalion immediately headed to the island, but by the time they got there were no traces of any monsters. All that was left was a wasteland with no single living creature. The vanished monsters later appeared again when the evil god showed up. The monsters were so strong that they were having a field day with the Magus battalion, ultimately wiping out the Magus battalion. Setsuna figures out that the foundation of the monsters will be on the island, and he is prepared to know the truth this time around. The commander then tells them that the missions will be assigned to the units on merit. Basically, they are going to hold mock battles to determine this, and the commander urges each unit to show their strength. Drago smiles at Setsuna, telling him that his unit will definitely not lose to his own unit. Deep down, Setsuna is thinking of how he is going to win the Rhodes Island mission. On the night before the mock battles, Layla communicates with Setsuna via the pendant, asking Setsuna about his training with the Magus battalion, and he reveals that it has been going well. Layla mentions that she has improved on her spirit magic, and Waternia cuts in, saying she lacks a huge source of mana, but she is compensating for this by channeling her anger. With this, she has been able to learn so many spells, and Waternia mentions that Setsuna might end up meeting another spirit, Bifrost, on the course of his journey. Blazer knows who Bifrost is, and he mentions that he is the Rainbow Spirit, who is basically a legend. It is said that he is a king who saves all spirits, but even though Blazers have been alive for thousands of years, he has never seen him once. Blazer starts to wonder if someone like that actually exists. This excites Setsuna because he knows that borrowing the Spirit King's power would mean a lot against the evil god. This makes him want to meet the Rainbow Spirit even more. Layla then asks Setsuna if he's getting along with the people in his squad, and Setsuna replies that there have been no issues so far. Apparently, the issue between Han and Valerie has also been resolved. In addition to this, Setsuna feels that there is something off about Han's magic. Blazer also agrees to this, saying he gets a really bad feeling from him. Waternia quickly steps in, telling Blazer that this is not an excuse for him to go burn Han, but Waternia says it just wants him to do it more. The next day, the trainees gather for the mock battle, and they are informed that a special formation magic has been cast on the arena. Apparently, the effect of the healing magic can heal any injury sustained from the fight. However, it won't bring back the dead, and because of this, they are required to be careful. Before the mock battle begins, Setsuna figures out that Han is not the only dude he has to look out for. Basically, the rules for the mock battle are a 5-person team fight. The battle is simple, and it is either you totally knock out the entire opposite team out of the ring or incapacitate them, or force them to surrender. Before the game begins, Sid tells them that he and Zappa will be on the offense. Han and Setsuna will provide attack from behind, while Valerie will be in charge of the support role. Setsuna is impressed with Sid's formation because he is taking into consideration everyone's strengths and weaknesses. Setsuna admits that he respects Sid a lot, and this is coming from him, who has met a bunch of captains. The draw came out, and their first opponent turned out to be Diaz's squad. Mifune is part of Diaz's squad, and he admits that it is pretty bad luck to have faced Setsuna's squad in the first match. Setsuna then returns the gesture, telling Mifune that they also need to watch out for his teleportation magic. Setsuna believes that it is the perfect power for surprise attacks in a team battle. The two continue their chat until Mifune's team leader screams at him to stop talking. He believes that Mifune has nothing to contribute to the team because he will be staying in the support role, while the 3 long-range mages in the team take care of the opponents. Apparently the last dude on their team is a summoning mage. Sid immediately figures out that they are going to use the summoned beasts from the summoner for their defense, while suppressing them with long-range spells. Without even thinking twice, Sid has already figured out their strategy. Diaz laughs at Sid, believing that his team is doomed for having a close combat mage there. Setsuna believes that Diaz is just jealous of Sid for becoming a commander at such a young age. Setsuna partially admits that his formation is quite good, but he can't believe that he is pushing Mifune to the side just because he is a formation mage. With this alone, Setsuna can see that Diaz has no eye for talent. Diaz gins at Setsuna, telling him to prepare himself to be dealt with. Sid notices that they are locked in on Setsuna, and Setsuna assures Sid that he is going to correct the popular belief that long-range mages are the stars of the battlefield. Momentarily, the battle begins, and just as predicted, Diaz's squad uses long-range attacks while defending with a summoned scorpion. Setsuna dashes toward the team while Sid tells his team members to intercept the long-range attacks. While the long-range mages are dealing with each other, Setsuna has reached the summoned beast. He tries to cut down the scorpion, but he ultimately fails. Setsuna pushes back a bit, and when Diaz sees this, he is confident that there is no rookie who can cut the scorpion because its hardness surpasses that of a golem. Momentarily, Diaz's team starts getting frustrated because they can't break through Sid's formation even though he is engaging them with just 2 long-range mages. Diaz encourages his team, telling them not to give up because Zappa will be the first to run out of mana. Diaz is confident that his team will come out on top, but suddenly, an attack comes flying at him from nowhere. He is bound to be struck down by the attack, but fortunately for him, Mifune steps in and uses his teleportation magic to get him out of the way. Diaz is shocked to see this, but Han, on the other hand, is pissed that Mifune ruined his plan. Basically, Mifune has what it takes to pinpoint Han's location thanks to the fact that he can sense his mana. Because of the stunt that Mifune pulled, Diaz starts celebrating, saying victory belongs to his squad. Mifune knows who he is up against, and he is not foolish enough to say they have automatically won. Setsuna, on the other hand, is still battling it out with the scorpion. While he is doing so, Han is watching him and monitoring his movements and techniques. Diaz continues laughing at Setsuna, saying there is nothing a close combat mage like himself can do. Unknown to them, Setsuna has been cooking his charge bullet skill while creating a diversion with his mana blades. Once the skill is ready, he aims straight at the scorpion's head and he delivers a powerful blow that shatters the scorpion with no stress. This ultimately destroys the defense that Diaz was relying on, leaving him stunned. Diaz doesn't want to believe that he just witnessed a beast get shattered by mere fists. Since their defense is broken, he screams out to his team to regroup, but this is too late because Setsuna has broken through their ranks. Setsuna is so fast that he knocks down one of the long-range mages before he even realizes it. While Setsuna is dealing with the others, Han aims for Diaz himself, but Diaz senses his attack this time around. Diaz launches his own attack to try and block Han's, but to his surprise, the hit suddenly employs a curve movement, making his defensive gesture useless. The attack hits Diaz so hard that it tears apart his clothes before sending him some meters across the arena. Once Mifune and the last dude on his team realize that the team leader has been taken out, they raise their hands to surrender. The healing magic in the arena then kicks into play as it starts to heal Diaz, and the winner of the match is ultimately decided. Meanwhile, the spectators have started taking note of Setsuna's participation in the team. They are impressed by how he is able to confidently shatter the enemy's front line by himself. They figure out that Zappa is a beast, but Setsuna is on another level. Setsuna then walks up to Han, asking him what sort of attack he used because he has never heard of a long-range spell that is capable of changing its trajectory. Han denies this, saying Setsuna is probably overthinking things. Setsuna also demands to know why Han put on his robe before he used the last attack, since he isn't in a situation where he needs to conceal his location. Han then replies that he did so to prevent a counter, claiming that he is a cautious dude. The tension between the two rises, but Zappa steps in, telling them that they can't be arguing or fighting after they have won. Han, on the other hand, figures out that Setsuna is onto him already, and he decides to step away for what he is about to do next. Just then, Drago shows up, telling Setsuna that he will be fighting his squad next, but his unit captain, Cha-Cha, is a good dude who recognizes the power of a close combat mage. Drago assures Setsuna that he is going to pay him back for what happened at the academy, since he has no intentions of losing. Since the winner of the next round gets to choose the mission that they want, Setsuna is ready to give it his all to win and get to choose the Rhodes Island mission. Moments later, Drago's team enters the arena, and Setsuna finally sees Captain Cha-Cha, who appears to be a cute little girl. Just as the game is about to begin, Cha-Cha sets her formation, with Drago being the heart of it. Drago takes off his chest and unleashes the secret technique of his family, which ultimately turns him into the Red Hulk. Even Setsuna becomes cautious because he can sense the immense aura coming from Drago's body. Setsuna wonders if Drago is controlling a burden that the human body could never withstand, with his steel-like physique. Since he is unaware of his secret technique, Setsuna becomes more interested in the fight, and with this, their legendary fight goes down. Drago charges at Setsuna and aims his punch at his head, but he dodges it. However, the pressure from the fist alone leaves Setsuna's skin bruised. Setsuna figures out that taking a direct hit from Drago's punch might automatically knock him out. Realizing this, Setsuna applies a physical boost to his arms and feet and grabs Drago like a pro wrestler. He wants to push Drago to the ground, but to his utmost surprise, Drago is unmovable. Drago grins, while telling him that his techniques won't work against his Hercules skill. The moment Setsuna realizes that he is being overpowered, he changes tactics and runs to Drago's back to try and cut him down. However, this also fails woefully, leaving Setsuna stunned, while Drago just smiles at him. Han then decides to attack Drago while he is distracted with Setsuna, but to everyone's surprise, Drago pulls out a rock boulder to block the incoming attack. Setsuna figures out that the Hercules skill is one that enhances physical strength, and since Drago's body has been trained since he was a kid, it basically makes it a cheat code. Setsuna can see that Drago is displaying a power that surpasses magic just by using pure physical enhancement. Setsuna is impressed because he never expected to be pushed so hard in a short-range combat. Because of the challenge, Setsuna is more obliged to win the match. Zappa releases a massive firepower at Drago, but he easily blocks this with his palm.
His story is not yet over. If you want to see how far he will go, to master his magic and to face the evil god again, join us, subscribe and witness his rise.